Just before we move on to sampling the words, we need to title case them. I want each one of these. Well, in the end, you're going to figure out how to get rid of that punctuation, and then how to make each letter, the first letter of each word, title cased. So I think you can figure that out. Try to get it so that you can produce this sort of output when you run it on your program. So assuming that you'll figure that out, let's move ahead and start thinking about how we're going to sample from this list of words. So however many input files you give, you're going to create some unique list of words that have been cleaned up and properly cased, that we can now sample from. And we've used the random sample function several times, and so think about how you're going to do it here. So after you've got these words, we don't need to print them anymore. We want to say, you know, actually I can't use okay, so what I want to do is I want to print some sample of the words, and I need to have them in the same order for us to be able to do this in a consistent way so that the tests work out. So not only is it important that we both are using the same random seed and the same set of words, but those words need to be in the same order. And we've come across this a couple times in other functions in other programs that we wrote, where it was important that the data be sorted in the same way. So really, just for the purposes of testing our program and being on the same page, I'm going to run the function sorted on the set words. Now that's actually going to change the data structure from a set to a list. So it's going to be a sorted list now of words. And if I were to print words here, and we were to look at this again, you see that it's now been changed to square brackets at either side of the output. So this is now a list, and you see that the words are indeed in sorted order. Using that, though, instead of printing the words, I'm going to say random sample of words. And how many words do I need to take? Well, that is a function of, so the value is called k. That is a function of the args dot number of words. I believe it's called number of words. Let me just go double check. Yes, num words. So instead of printing all of the words, let's print a random sample of words. Concur, case, faith there. Let's run it on, let's say, the scarlet letter inputs. Let me give star. So reply, kind, breast, year. If I run that just on the verbs, what do I get? Begin, love, grow, find. So this is looking promising. So instead of printing the sample, which you see gives us back a list, instead you need to print those joined together into a single word. I think that you could probably figure out how to do that. And that's going to be using the join function. So rather than printing that, I'll do dot join, add a paren here. And so that's a way to create one password. You need to do it so that you create args num password. So how are you going to do that? I'm going to leave that for you to figure out. And the last piece that we need to talk about is how to make this into a leet. And so we've already talked just a little bit about that we're going to use the ransom function that we wrote in the ransom module, and I've included here a test for that function. So essentially, we wrote this whole program many chapters ago to take the input and then to randomly uppercase and lowercase the values. You should be able to take that whole idea for a program, and there's probably really just like one line of code, and you can take that down and make that whole program into just a single function inside of this program, and you can call that function ransom. And here I've included for you the definition for a test ransom, and you see that it's doing this thing that we've seen many times of saving the state of the random module right now, setting it to a particular seed of 1, and then saying, if I give it money, do I get back this? If I give it dollars, do I get back money dollars? So it's just testing that one idea, that one function. So we're going to keep that separate from the substitution function too, because I just want you to be able to think about how you can use small tested functions and combine them together to compose them into larger programs. So write that ransom function, go steal that code from your other program, stick it in this program, put in this definition for this test, and then run PyTest on this function, on this module, on this program, and see if it passes. There is a unit.py program that I've included here that has these functions for you. So if you want, you see here from the password module that we're creating, it's looking for functions called clean, ransom, and leet. And here is the test clean that I put inside our program. I put it inside password, but I could put it here in this unit.py, and then I could run unit.py, and it will, I can run this with PyTest. It will import these functions from our program and run them here. And so it's just a way of separating the tests from the functions and the code, and it's another way of organizing your code. Especially as your programs get longer and you get more and more functions, you may find that it's nicer to have the tests separated into a separate file. I call it unit.py because these are unit tests. These are the tests for individual functions. This is not the integration test. So once you have that, you can use this test ransom here that's in unit.py, or you can take this code and stick it directly in your program, however you want to do that. And then finally, there's going to be a leet function. So you see here that it's importing this leet function. So you're going to write the leet function, and the first thing it's going to do is use the ransom function to randomly uppercase and lowercase. Then it's going to do the substitution according to this table here. I'm going to leave that to you. You can go again, steal the ideas that you used in Jump to 5. However you solve that one, or however you want to do it here, you can include that. And here's the function that tests your leet function. So when you're able to pass all these unit tests, and you're able to understand this code up to this point, you should be able to generate some number of passwords using some number of words where the words have been selected according to a minimum and maximum length, and they've been cleaned up and lowercased and title cased and all of that. That should be enough for you to go on. You should be able to run the password program with this seed and these inputs on these inputs and get these outputs. So I'm going to leave it to you to write that. I do recommend that you read this portion here where I talk about the importance of generating all the passwords before you pass them through the leet function. So there's a little bit of trickiness involved. If you create a password and then immediately call the leet function, you're using the random module inside the leet function and inside the ransom functions and that will change the global state of the ransom module, and then you'll actually get a different set of outputs. The next time you go to select the words for the next password, the state of the random module will have been changed, and so it's important to get those in the right order. Maybe you'll come across this error on your own, and maybe maybe that's good if you encounter this and figure it out on your own. But we'll talk about it more in the solution.